Hello everyone, my name is James and welcome back to Team Gavel. Alright, so I've got a little bit about some case updates, some legal news, and then I can kind of talk about some of the things that happened this weekend. Just some personal notes. And then we'll probably pivot back over to Ocarina of Time. That's kind of my game of choice for the time being. So I talk a little bit about AI on one of our other firm podcast that we just got off the ground. It's called BLIP. It stands for Business, Litigation, and Intellectual Property Podcast. Let me get a link for that, actually. Yeah, I can totally make a command for that. So outside of what I do here on stream, our firm is advertising more of our legal services, and it's a bit more heavy-handed than, say, what I'm doing here, more informally, kind of talking about some of this stuff. So yeah, let me go ahead and update a command here. Trying to figure out how to categorize this command, but anyway, there we go. I can do this now. So if you want to check it out, there's our brand new command. You can go check out our VODs. For some of our other legal conversations, it's me and it's Travis, who is our IP litigation attorney, and then myself, and then we've got a couple other people that are guests from with our firm. So a lot of interesting stuff there. I talk about some of the things I'll talk about today, like AI copyright claims. And then we've talked about trademark topics like Taco Tuesday. We've also talked about what is trade dress. We talked about Trump's mugshot and copyright law issues related to that. And we'll probably be uploading some more videos. The goal is to have something there weekly. Honestly, we'll fluctuate there between doing things. We'll try to have a lot of content either way between this channel for Team Gavel, more the gaming side of things with some of the legal updates, and then a bit more, like I said, heavy-handed legal conversations through Blip and some of our other firm marketing pathways. So stay tuned if you're interested in that kind of stuff, and let me know if you've got a topic that you'd love to hear us get into. So I'll kind of get into what I did this past weekend, because I think it'll guide us into some of the conversations. And yeah, I mean, unrelated to this, I ended up doing an 8K that we had in our city. And yeah, I'm still tired. I didn't think I'd get that worn out considering I was just walking most of it. But I got sick coming back from Vegas and just haven't fully recovered from that yet. So that's a bummer, but I think I'll be all right long term. I'll go ahead and take this off. So anyway, not necessarily the biggest groundbreaking news, but if I come off a little fatigued, then it's probably just a little carryover from, there we go. The expo, yeah, so that was going to be something else. I was just talking about how I did an 8K this weekend while my wife ran a full half marathon. And I say a full half marathon because it's a lot. There were other people that we knew who did the full marathon, but I was pretty tired just doing my little 5-mile walk. One of my friends, family friends, ended up deciding to run a little bit with me because I had a little group that we came together with. But yeah, so that was Saturday, and then everybody was just kind of knocked out for the rest of the afternoon. I thought I was going to do some work, thought I was going to reach out to some people, and I didn't. And I definitely owe Power Up. I definitely owe Power Up a call. But anyway, yeah, Sunday came around, and the expo itself was pretty neat. The panels, I didn't have like a super big turnout for my law panel, but wasn't necessarily too surprised. This is a student run event on campus, and they definitely do get some people outside of the university or like art alums who are still in the area. They definitely get some of those people coming in, but it's not necessarily something that gets marketed to like the whole area. And I don't know about you, but outside of the people who are interested in going to law school, if I were back in undergrad and I heard that there was going to be a lawyer, I don't know that I would be running to it. But we still had a pretty solid group for the people who did show up, and just went through a lot of basics. And kind of the idea was, I'm going to talk about copyright law first, because I assume that's what most people had questions about, and then just kind of keep it open and informal. And so I did that. People asked questions about things as I explained some of the basics there. Then we got into contracts and just kind of like sprinkled in some other things like forming a business LLC or other type of entity. And that was pretty much the time block, but it was all right. I definitely had a good time doing it. And I think the people who were there, they gave me the impression that they appreciated the conversation. And it was nice to get some of the feedback from people who had sat in on like other lawyer presentations. So yeah, we got through it. I had a whole bunch of notes and things for related topics that I didn't quite get into. And so yeah, I agree with you, Paige. Like, it's one thing if nobody shows up. It's another if a bunch of people show up and it's radio silent the entire time. Everybody's just staring at you expectantly, like waiting for something to happen. But even if you end up having like 3 to 10 people there, you know, like a beginner Twitch channel, you get that engagement, and it can change the whole atmosphere of the room, and it can potentially allow some of those other people to feel confident to chat, you know? Maybe they've got a question and they see other people getting involved and they're like, oh, okay, you know, maybe this guy isn't so scary. And I felt like that's kind of how it was. We definitely got some questions early, and I was happy about that. So, like, when I got into the copyright topics, I was like, some of the timely stuff that impacts both comics and just art in general, that very much ties into copyright law is AI. And so I mentioned some of the lawsuits that I had studied a little bit about. And like I was saying, we talked about that on our firm's podcast, Blip. And it definitely looks like we need to do an update. Anyway, there were a couple lawsuits. I'm trying to think of how many. We had at least 3 lawsuits. There were a couple of groups who had sued OpenAI, the owner of ChatGPT. And then there was another lawsuit against Meta by a bunch of creators. And so there are other lawsuits related to AI that are out there, but everything kind of started with some of these authors who are saying, hey, look, if you go into ChatGPT, or if you use the AI that is created by Meta, you can get basically the AI to generate content that is quote unquote inspired by some of the copyright holders, or you can have the AI tell you, the plot of the book or give quotes. And so all of the authors and artists that were trying to sue those AI companies were saying, hey, look, there's no way that you can get these summaries without having scanned, or as they say in the lawsuits and talk about it in the AI context, trained the copyright holders' material. There's sort of a problem that it becomes very clear as the litigation goes on, but it all comes down to what evidence you have, and also just kind of the nature of how the court and copyright law are currently operating. And so for copyright infringement, the legal standard is called substantial similarity. And so the idea is that, let's say I have this frog mug and I'm going to act like I made this. I did not make it. I'm not going to hold myself out. But for the hypothetical, let's say that I made this mug, and I'm going to say this frog here is my original work. So now I'm going to start selling these on Etsy like you do, or maybe on Redbubble if we're making stickers or other things. And then all of a sudden you find a competing store and they also have a frog mug. Well, you can sue them if the facts align up, and you're going to be looking to see how many similarities you can put down to say, hey, look, you most likely copied my design, and here's how I can show that. That's pretty much how copyright infringement law works when we're dealing with these types of infringement suits. If you say, hey, look, your frog also has eyes, this mouth that's like a smile, and maybe some little rouge, a little blush on the cheeks, then what we have to do is try to figure out, are those original elements for your artwork, or do all frogs just happen to smile? Are all of them, do they just look cartoony? And that's where we start the whole consideration of what is really protectable in your artwork versus what is more generic or Another phrase that we've used is, what is a like sens affaire? What is like a background component that it's not really attributable to anybody? It's maybe something that originally was unique to one author or one artist, but now everybody in the given genre or field or media or medium uses that. So like if we're going to talk about frogs, then if you write about a frog and it jumps, like that's just what frogs do. Well, most of them. If you have like toads and stuff, maybe you talk about them walking. But if you make a frog character and it flies, then maybe you've got something that's a little bit more unique because that's not like a natural ability for frogs generally. So, like I said, we're trying to parse through what is something that's going to be more generic and kind of commonplace versus, oh, here's something that is really different. When when we're getting into all of those considerations, you really are going to have to buckle down and establish, if you're the artist or author, you're going to have to say, hey, look, you copied all of my original and creative ideas that were, expressed in this frog mug. If you can do that, then you're going to be in a better position for a lawsuit. The problem is that you still will most likely have to do a lot of digging to get there. And that's why the whole litigation process usually ends up being pretty expensive, because you're going to have to pay an attorney to basically just request a whole bunch of documents and files and then go through and review them. You're going to want to look at like emails. You're going to want to look at communications between the defendant and maybe vendors or other parties, where they might be acknowledging that they're copying the content and they are aware about it. So all of those things come into play. And we've seen now, looks like this past week, let me go back to the link I was looking at. Okay, so it looks like at the end of October, one of the cases with Sarah Silverman as one of the plaintiffs has been dismissed. And important to note is that this suit against Meta was dismissed without prejudice. Basically, when we say something is dismissed without prejudice or with prejudice, it's just the court's way of saying, yes, you can refile, or no, you can't. And so without prejudice means, hey, we're not going to hold it against you. You messed up with something. And if you can fix that problem, you can refile and potentially start over. Avon, welcome on in. We are talking about AI lawsuits, AI in art, and good, bad, anything that comes up. So that's where we are right now. Thanks for being here. Absolutely a touchy topic. I mean, yeah. Well, and I guess here's my position, just to state a firm sort of stance. It's also a very squishy answer, but I don't know. If you try to like get a lawyer to come out with a bright line rule, then they're always going to say, well, it's going to depend on, or it depends. But I think generally speaking, I can say this. And this is what I tried to say at the Comic Expo this past weekend. AI is not inherently bad. How it's used is going to be based on who's wielding the tool. But AI is very much a tool. And so Where it gets bad is people with bad intentions, right? So if you've got somebody who is, well, and I guess I brought this up in the context of like the SAG-AFTRA strikes, because we've got a bunch of writers who are saying, hey, quit trying to exploit our writers and actors and actresses by using AI to basically waive our consent and bypass that. The idea, specifically for a lot of the Hollywood strikes that were ongoing before, was that, hey, look, normally what would happen is you would hire a writer, they're going to work on the show, and you're going to hire actors and actresses to appear, and they'll act. But with the current developments in AI, CGI, all the other technologies, people have been trying to cut corners. Generally speaking, when people are trying to cut corners, it's not always a bad thing, but there's the biggest concern now of, hey, look, maybe the labor standards aren't super great for writers or for creators in general. And so trying to further split pay gaps and isolate the creators in the space for cheap substitutions, trying to use AI, it just is pretty obnoxious is one way to put it, and gross in another way. So, that's not really the controversial take, I don't think. But that's just because the proposal by a lot of the execs is, hey, I want to save my paycheck. And one way to do that is to reduce cost. And how do we reduce cost? We cut cost from operational needs, and that could be staff, that could be cutting certain expenses and other things. We see a whole bunch of layoffs, and I mean, there's definitely some truth to that, Avon, about AI reducing some jobs while it'll also potentially create others. And so that's kind of where we get the double-edged sword, right? We're going to be looking at how is the system going to be advanced if we allow AI to be used? When should it be used? When shouldn't it be used? If you're trying to do something in a very personal scene or setting, like with your own work performance, or trying to think about other ways to kind of look into it, like personal productivity apps or other things, those are probably going to have some types of automations. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Using those types of more passive AIs, not a big deal. But if you end up using AI in a more active capacity, then that's where there could potentially be some concern, but it's also going to depend on how that all actually works. I mean, if you have used something like ChatGPT to write an essay, then you definitely got to go back in and like edit it, or you got to go back in and review some of those generated prompts. But that's why, it's probably not going to replace writers anytime soon. It's just something that can be used in conjunction with writers to make things better, potentially. And that's kind of just a hopeful perspective. We have a lot of technology. I mean, just in the music context, right? We started with, I don't know, we started with nothing. And now we've got instruments, we've got recording equipment. The way that yeah, that's pretty much my point, Avon. The way that the music industry has adapted to growing technologies is very much interesting to watch because we haven't, I mean, we're still trying to wrap our hands around music copyright and how to enforce it, how to grow it, and how to sustainably get revenue back to the creators. I mean, when everything started, there were just public performance licenses and royalties from that people could recover. And then we started to get CDs and other technologies. So now there's like the recording licenses and recording rights. And so yeah, anyway, with the considerations about music, I think it's just a really easy way to talk about how technology has both, you know, made things very complicated, but also led to a lot of opportunity. We've got a lot more audio engineers and other types of businesses that are out there who provide services like Pretzel, for example. I mean, streaming, all of this is based on updates and technology. And yeah, you know, I've got a bunch of applications that help me automate things to make things easier. And like you were saying, Avon, you know, it's an instrument to make things run a little bit more smoothly, but it's not necessarily substituting a job. I mean, in theory, I can automate a lot of stuff right now, but if my channel or when my channel grows, I mean, I'm ultimately going to be looking for a team of people to help run it. I've got a marketing person from our firm who helps me with our content. Shout out to Daniel. And I talk to other staff members and other streamers. And so thank you all for helping me out and giving me feedback. But yeah, if I end up hiring a separate mod for the channel, or if we end up hiring additional people to make like logos like we've done before, then that's because the channel has grown and our needs have grown as well. I think part of the other piece of the conversation is that we just live in a very capitalist society. And so it's really hard as a millennial, especially, to listen to a lot of the conversations about CEO record profits. You know, they made another 3 billion this year. And then you look down at your lower level associates and it's like more and more artists are on food stamps or seeking additional employment. You know, they've got the whole idea of you got to hustle if you go out to Hollywood. Not only are you going to be trying out for roles and things, but you've also got to be working at Starbucks, or you got to work at your little coffee shops and boutiques. And you've also got to be interning somewhere. And so it's kind of just like, look, maybe it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe you can stop paying a CEO billions and billions of dollars, and you can kind of spread some of that money, which is what a lot of the strikes were basically saying, is just like, hey, pay us a livable wage and, you know, we can do some of these things. But the people who are in charge of all these, the executives, they're all saying, hey, I really like the idea of having my 30th yacht, because my other person over here that is also a billionaire, they just took a spaceship that they made and paid for with several billions of dollars. And well, if I can't beat them to space, then I want to beat them with my yacht collection. That whole like gross wealth race thing. And so there's just a lot of exploitation out there. That's the piece that is really troubling for something like AI, which is one of the reasons why I think the conversation started and has continued to be so antagonistic towards AI. It's just because the people who are really pushing it, it's not the artist or the creators from that side. Usually it's the execs and the other people who are already currently exploiting the artist and contractors and vendors. So from that perspective, yeah, it's pretty gross. But you know, there's a big strike. There's going to be a vote starting tomorrow. There's going to be a vote for the SAG-AFTRA board, national board, between November 14th and December 5th, because they've come up with a rough deal. Okay, and so I'm just going to talk about some of the notes that I wrote down about that. We've got the idea that they're asking for compensation raises for like writers and actors. They're looking for talking about consent, like I was talking about before. And the idea for actors is if somebody's going to take your image or likeness and use AI or CGI to put it in something, promote a product or a movie, then you definitely want to make sure that you're getting paid for it and you want to know about it. That would be a really bad situation in the world where we have so many deep fakes that are now possible. If you just imagine, well, whatever thing you hate the most, like, or something that you're afraid of. So in the sense of I like frogs, I don't necessarily like snakes. I'm going to make a really bad hypothetical, but let's say I'm just not a snake person for this, and I hate it. And I'm going to be very vocal. Yeah, I hate snakes. Well, if somebody takes my image, they clip it, they put it into a video editor with an AI program, and they're like, hey, this is Team Gavel's Snake Emporium. We just love snakes so much, and we'll sell you snakes, and these are going to be the best snakes you've ever had in your life, and blah, 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 you know, Team Gavel and snakes. I would probably have a pretty good reason to be upset with somebody doing that. Honestly, I might laugh a little bit at first just because it would come off as really ridiculous, and that'd be something I wouldn't say outside of like a joke. But no, I mean, if other people who found snakes offensive for whatever reason, or if a lot of my clients were frogs or something, I don't know, and they don't like snakes, then you know, you've got something that's done without my permission that could potentially hamper or harm my reputation, or just be very uncomfortable at a very, very minimum capacity. And so you want to know where your name, image, and likeness rights are going to end up. And you definitely don't want somebody doing something like that unless you've got at least some kind of knowledge about it. There were a lot of talks about using generative AI to basically sidestep those permissions and just say, hey, you agreed to the movie, so we're going to pop up this trailer and do other things. And then we just don't have to go back and ask for your permission. You always want to make sure that all of that is covered in some kind of contract, because there are state laws about name, image, and likeness rights, and there are obviously ways that you can deal with contract infringement or breach of contract. So yeah, consent provisions, talking about name, image, and likeness problems. It seems like they're generally aiming to remove generative AI for content without consent. They're specifically also trying to avoid exploitative AI training. And so this is what everybody's alleging, but nobody has been able to prove through an actual lawsuit. The idea that the AIs are training is, I don't know, that's necessarily based on the current lawsuits. I'm not sure that that's quite at issue. I think generally everybody has agreed, yeah, the AIs have been used to train, or not, I'm saying this backwards. The AI tools have trained on copyrighted works. I think that's not really a question that anybody's disputing. And so the question is there an ability to sue? And at least currently, we're seeing a lot of pushback. So one of the ChatGPT, or one of the meta suits, was basically just dismissed. And what the judge ended up saying was, you have to show that the output of the AI is substantially similar to the copyrighted work. One of the tricky things that could potentially exist here is if you're going to use something like Midjourney, that's going to be sourcing images from a lot of different content. That's one way to put it. And so what this judge is illustrating is basically, you have to say, hey, look, you copied substantially this portion, or, you know, this part of my work. If you're talking about the style or other pieces, then you have to figure out, is that something that can be copyrighted or that can be protected? Maybe we're looking at not a copyright issue, but maybe a branding issue like trade dress. It's going to be really hard to pin some of that stuff down, which is why these lawsuits are being dismissed without prejudice, because they're going to have to be able to go back and say, hey, the way that you used your tool to copy my work, it violated my rights, and here's a viable way to show that the output is exactly or substantially similar. Now, if you have the output just auto-generate text from the book or the direct image, you know, hey, that's much easier. What we're looking at is, if you are saying, give me the summary of this book, then is that summary something that is going to be quote unquote substantially similar or not? So that's kind of where the AI conversation is right now. We're not really seeing any judges break their backs to try to allow these lawsuits through, which isn't really that surprising. You might get a judge or two that says, hey, I just don't think this is how things should be. But Otherwise, we're going to be stuck with the laws that are older than the technology. And so the questions are going to have to be tied back to older case law and figure out how to kind of change that. Um, and then we'll just have to get some more artist friendly discussions. Judge AI. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of those people try to talk about creating like lawyer AI. Like there was that one company that was trying to do it for like traffic tickets. I mean, I like the idea because I like the idea of, especially in the criminal context, um, making things a little bit more accessible. But I mean, they're just like ethical rules and a bunch of other things that just wouldn't work. I mean, just in terms of ethics, I did see today, I think that the Supreme Court actually adopted its own ethics code. So we'll see what they do with that. But yikes, right? The Supreme Court not having a code of ethics. I mean, I went through law school just assuming that all courts had ethics codes. I mean, we definitely do in the state courts. And so, I mean, when I first found that out, I was just kind of blown away. What do you mean, Supreme Court, a lifetime position, doesn't have some kind of ethics? Exactly, Paige. Yeah. Um, yeah. But anyway, that's kind of where a lot of the conversation about AI is. And, similar to streaming, unless and until we get some big pushback and we start to lobby or work together, we're going to be stuck with old laws and old interpretations of laws. So, I don't know. If you're interested in seeing something different, then, one, join the conversation. And then two, just keep those opinions heard. I've definitely got my thoughts as I look through this from a lawyer lens, but everybody that's here as a streamer, as a creator, and your own perspective, you'll probably have some very valuable insights to the conversation as well. The AI that could impact your stream or your channel for better or worse, it's not a bad idea to stay tuned and figure out what types of things can come up. But it's definitely nice to see that there's a possibility of writers and others getting higher compensation packages from a lot of these big industries. And it's kind of been rippling across. We've had a lot of pushes for unions and a lot of pushes for collectivization. So far, we've got some pretty good results, and I continue to hope that everything will work out. One of the other things that I didn't end up talking about that was related to comic books, it's not AI. I'll just kind of slightly pivot away from that for the time being. But it was a copyright and comics kind of consideration. We did talk about trademarks a little bit as well. And so in preparation for my panel at the Comic Expo, I was like, okay, I'm just going to type in comic lawsuits. And I was reminded of the She-Hulk episode. If you haven't watched She-Hulk or read She-Hulk, the comics and stuff, I definitely haven't read a bunch of She-Hulk comics. I'm still pretty new to the industry itself, but I have started watching the Disney Plus show, She-Hulk with Marvel, and I enjoy it. I mean, first of all, She-Hulk's attorney at law. So we can kind of see some of those other things that only appeal to people like myself. But Titania ends up getting a trademark registered for a makeup company in the show. And so one of the bits in an episode of She-Hulk is that She-Hulk is doing her thing, and then she wakes up one morning and she's served a cease and desist notice. Or she's got that. Anyway, she's got a cease and desist letter, and it says, hey, you are using the term She-Hulk in violation of Titania's trademark registration. You must cease and desist all use and blah, blah, blah. We're going to sue your pants off if you don't. And so in this very, very artificially created hypo, I just thought it would be very worthwhile to pick up some of the points that we can talk about in a real context. And then I might just go ahead and pivot over to gameplay unless there are other questions that people in chat have. But yeah, so what are some of the things that come up? Well, Titania says, I filed my trademark first. In the US Patent and Trademark Office, you can call it the Trademark Office as well, but it's the Patent and Trademark Office. We actually don't operate on a first to file basis. It was sort of like that, but in practice, we are a first to use country. And so what do I mean by that? Well, let's say, I mean, I guess I can just use She-Hulk here. She-Hulk was going around fighting crime and had taken up the name She-Hulk. And Titania creates her makeup business after. And so Titania says, I want to name my makeup business She-Hulk so that I can get this registered before this other person, because I know that they have that name and they're probably going to do it. I'm going to squat on this trademark. That's one of the phrases that lawyers and other people in the industry would use. It's like cyber squatting or domain squatting. I'm going to try to exploit this, and then I'll either prevent them from being able to do it, or two, I'm going to sell it to them at a high price because I know that it's something that they're trying to do, and they might be willing to pay me a higher steep of money so that they can retain it. Well, the Copyright Office, the Trademark Office is going to look, and they're going to say, okay, do we have anything in our system where somebody else has a prior filed application and they're alleging an earlier use? If yes, then that's going to turn into a problem for somebody like Titania, who's filing it after somebody else has already, filed an application. Then built into the process for trademarks, there is a period that's called publication for opposition. And so to the extent that somebody like She-Hulk, let's say she didn't have a trademark registration, because she didn't, she notices that Titania is starting to brand her store. She's got her agent, or she's got somebody who found Titania's store, and she says, hey, that's my name. You can't violate that. You're infringing on my rights. There's actually a period where we have 30 days. The trademark is going to be advertised in the official Gazette, which is the newspaper of the trademark office. And the public, if you know to look for it, you can find those publications and you can monitor them. And so if She-Hulk were monitoring that trademark publication, then she could have made she could have instituted proceedings in the TTAB, which is the trademark court, and said, hey, look, you're infringing on my rights and I've got prior use. And you could potentially get that application thrown out before it registers. You can now file a cancellation proceeding as well to say, hey, you never had the rights to do that in the beginning. Or for older marks that are no longer in use, you can also cancel them for that reason. So anyway, there are some of the options. She-Hulk is more of a criminal defense lawyer rather than somebody who would do IP. So it makes sense that she wouldn't be monitoring the official Gazette or trying to focus on some of her trademark concerns. But yeah, normally if you're a bigger brand or business, you're going to have a company or somebody that's hired to go and monitor those things. So that's just something to keep in mind. So I talked about prior use. We've also just got outside of, who used the trademark and who filed first in the trademark office, we've got two other issues that are related. One, name, image, and likeness rights. If I want to file a trademark and I'm going to call it let's say I make a cereal and I call it Barack O's. Well, a lot of people would assume that I'm talking about Barack Obama. There's some questions about whether I can use a president's name, but there's also going to be questions about, can I use a living person's name for a product or service? Generally, you can't, unless you get some kind of sign off. There is a very low likelihood that at this point, I haven't talked to Obama in person. I most likely don't have any kind of consent. And so that's another rule with the trademark office that would probably stop my application at the door. If there are any kind of references to something that look like a name, like John or Paige or something else, then you're probably going to get at least an inquiry. If you don't reference a consent, you're going to get an inquiry, a question from the examiner on your case. And they're going to say, hey, is this a real person? If so, have you asked for and received their consent? You need to show it before you can go forward. So She-Hulk would probably also be protected by the trademark office there, because they would say, hey, look, this seems like a person's name. We've seen She-Hulk fighting crime. So you can't do that unless you have their permission. But let's say the last thing here, let's say She-Hulk isn't actually a stage name or a person's name. Well, then we've just got a trademark for a specific product. And with trademarks, they're very class specific. And so the idea is that when you get a trademark, it's not, I own the trademark for Tenjin Law or Team Gavel. It's, I registered a trademark. I registered a trademark Team Gavel, and at the time we haven't done that, but let's say I registered Team Gavel in the entertainment class, for streaming or podcast or content creation. That doesn't give me unfettered access to say I can prevent people from using Team Gavel in any class. I can potentially stop people in similar classes. So if somebody else pops up a channel and starts making content and making money, especially if they're borrowing some of the logos and other things, then yeah, I can probably stop them. But let's say Team Gavel ends up being a football club. And when I say football, I mean like soccer, football. European football or South American. Anyway, if Team Gavel ends up being a different team, then there's probably not going to be the same kind of overlap with a sports team. The only time that it would overlap is in something like merchandise. And so if I'm doing my stream here and I start making t-shirts and other things, then I probably am going to get a trademark in the clothing class. Well, then anyone else that tries to come up with a Team Gavel business is not going to be able to file a trademark in that class. But, you know, somebody could come up with Team Gavel airplanes or luxury yachts. We're not going to come anywhere near any of that stuff. And that's fine. We usually talk about the idea of Delta. There's the planes, the airlines, Delta, and then there's also like Delta faucets. You would think, they have the same name. How is that possible? Well, you're not really going to go to the store and try to buy a faucet from like Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever department store you might go to get those things and then be confused that you're getting an airline ticket or you're not getting an airline ticket. So industry and context matters quite a bit. In the case of Titania and She-Hulk, to the extent that Titania had a valid trademark and to the extent that She-Hulk maybe opened up a similar shop, yeah, Titania would have been in her position or in her right to stop somebody like She-Hulk from creating another makeup company. Or if they had merch like t-shirts and things and they had a trademark registration in those classes as well, and She-Hulk starts to come out with her own merch line, then that would be a problem. But otherwise, just because you have a trademark registration doesn't mean you can stop everybody else from using your name or logo ever. So that's just something else. So we've got name, image, and likeness rights, class, formation of class and like products and service classes. Oh gosh, I am getting a little tired here. Products and service class designations that matter. And then also just whether you were the first to use the name or the first to file. All those are big considerations when we're talking about trademarks. So yeah, that was something that I didn't end up talking about, but I had notes about it and happy to chat about it on here anyway. So I think what I'll do now is, unless anybody has any questions related to AI or trademarks or copyrights from the things that I've talked about, I might just go ahead and just open it all up and switch over into Ocarina of Time again. I'll just replug the Discord for anybody else that's here. I'll just reintroduce myself because I've been going for about an hour. Again, my name is James. This is Team Gavel. I'm a lawyer full-time and a gamer and streamer part-time, but we are in the process of pushing for affiliate. I need to adjust my stream schedule so that I can do that, but I'm otherwise working with you all to grow this community. And so I will thank people like Paige and Avon for coming in and chatting with me. And I will look forward to finding more ways to, make this a more practical space. Not only do I want to do it so that I can keep playing games and calling it work, but I also I really do believe in the idea of helping gamers and creators make more sustainable content and a more sustainable industry, whether it's in gaming or entertainment at large. And so I really want to help however I can. If that means that I'm talking to you and just giving you some basic feedback and talking about some of the IP basics, but yeah, happy to at least start the considerations. If you come in and you say, hey, this is a more practical consideration, these are more specific issues, then, that's cool too. If you're starting out and you don't know what to ask, that's fine. Paige, don't beat yourself up. Like I said, I'm here and I want to make this stream more useful for people and more accessible. I mean, it's accessible in the sense anybody can hop in the stream, but is it useful for the people once they get here? And is it entertaining enough for the people or educational enough to keep the people around? So those are all the marketing angles that I'm trying to work on as we work on our road to affiliate. So yeah, don't worry about that burden, Paige. This is all the stuff that I got to figure out for myself, and any feedback that you or other viewers or community members provide, it helps me so that I can potentially help you all. But like I said, feedback, that's all we're going for. And if you have it, great. If not, hey, I just keep asking and I'll keep trying things out. Okay. So let's switch things over. Oops. Oh, okay. Let's go back, and I have to find what I was doing last. I think I'm still missing one of the chickens. Okay. I'm honestly just gonna go through. Oops. I think we already got that one then. I already got 2. I'm looking at a walkthrough right now, just to be very clear. The cuckoos. Oh. I forgot about that guy up there. I'm just gonna bother this person up here. I'm gonna try to bother them. Okay. I think I might actually need to trigger. Oh. I don't remember if I got all of those before. So I could totally do that. Go to the mask shop. I definitely remember when I was first playing this game that these were some of the most annoying things. Because I could never get the timing right. Very much right now trying this. All right, I want to get... Oh, did I not? I don't remember that I got the heart container from the graveyard. That's probably daytime now. Whoops. Yeah, it's daytime. Let me see if I can talk to that person. There we go. Interesting. Got a lot of court stuff. Had a lot of court stuff last week, and then I have a bunch of court stuff this week. I've got like 5 hearings scheduled for tomorrow. It is not an ideal time. Ah, there it is. How do I do this again? So we got one over there. Well, here's this one at least. Come on, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk to this person. There we go. Yeah, so we got 2 more. Okay, so I see grab a cuckoo, get up on the platform near the entrance to the windmill, and jump off the ledge. Ah, that's what it was. Oops, that's not what I was supposed to do. I can't add any extra momentum to this. I definitely remember the shenanigans are really high for this part. So I was supposed to keep the box, I think. Let's see if I can reset the box. Oh, come on. Oops. That might have actually been helpful. Oh well. We'll run into the graveyard for a quick second and then come back, and hopefully the other chicken is approximately where we left it. Nope. I'm gonna grab it. Am I not able to push it? Well, I'll just have to go find it. Let's see where Chicken Friend went. Do we still have 5 in there? Nope, we have 4. Yikes. Not there. There it is. Okay, so I just have to try a little bit harder to get back on the fence over on the left. Yeah, that seems totes legit. Oh, don't fall down that. All right, one more to grab. This wasn't too bad. It's just, yeah. I struggled a lot with a lot of the game mechanics up here, where it feels like you're just kind of cheesing the stuff. All right, so I see both of them right there. You just got to keep an eye. Here's one. Let's go grab the one that's running away in the middle. Got that one. Then we'll have all the cuckoos back home. Oh, no. There we go. One more. And we haven't triggered the cuckoo storm. So I think we're all good. Definitely nice to get an empty bottle, so I know I can use those for potions and stuff later. Now that I've done this, I can actually I can go back over into the area. Okay, now that we have an empty bottle, go back to the patch of bushes at the entrance area of the graveyard. Huh. So these are all the golden sculptulas. thought there was going to be more going on, but no, I guess we just wanted to get the shield and stuff here. Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of Skulltulas. Ah, we get the wallet. Okay, so huh. Okay, well, I'm just gonna mess around then and try to get a little bit further. Like I said, I'm just generally trying to get back into the game. I play it, but here we go. Let's see what we got going on today. Ah, so it's daytime. I think it should be rainy in the graveyard. Maybe, maybe not. There we go. Yeah, I definitely haven't done this part yet. Okay. So I haven't played Zelda's Lullaby. Things are a little different. I guess I might switch the audio over. Switch the I updated my stream category. Updated now before in the stream, so we'll say it's fixed. Got it. Got him. We are getting closer and closer to like the idea of the underground place. Just the place of nightmares, absolutely, in this game. These weren't necessarily great. They could be very stressful, but at the same time, like, you could get around them. Ah. That's the only time where it gets really dicey. Oh, look, we got our new melody. The Sun Song, I'm guessing. Is that the one? There we go. This is how I wreck the musical guy's day. We come in and we break the melody. Okay. Secret melody of the Composer Brothers. So right down up. Oops. Come on, let me try again. There we go. Oh, that was just a fairy. Whoops. Okay, so I can do that, and then I'll definitely want to swap it out. Oh, I was gonna say, what happened? No, I actually, oh, okay. I lost the audio because my capture card busted. Here, I'm gonna reset. This is that fun little situation that hasn't been a problem. There we go. Hasn't been a problem for the most part. I'll go ahead and save, why not? Anyway, we'll just go ahead and bow out. I do this, I don't remember how to get the skull shell up at the top. I know how to take it down, but yeah, that doesn't work. I don't have a boomerang or anything right now. We can talk to him. There we go. That's perfectly fine. No, I don't. Okay, apparently hit the wrong button. Okay. Do you see that there's this heart piece over here? So I'm gonna go ahead. Do this one and then next to it. I'm not looking at you, come on. I'm in my happy place. I'm not afraid of ghosts. We're not just trying to survive. Gosh, Nintendo 64 graphics things. I missed it just because I couldn't get off the silly fence. Yeah, I accidentally grabbed the wrong one too. There we go. We're fine now. I just didn't do it the right way. There we go. The other tricky thing about the games before, it's like they very much had specific places you had to be. There we go. The heart piece is why I came here, though. Oh, did it? It did it again. What a bummer. That's 2 times in like an hour. There we go. All right, we're back. Yeah, and so the specific issue, it's like a known problem. And the way that I've kind of been told what the problem is like, we've got Elgato, because I use an Elgato capture card And Elgato says, hey, this is not our problem. It's the software that's connected to the Mac, because I use a Mac for streaming. And we've got, it's not just like a Mac Pro or whatever. We've got like the Studio Mac desktop. So it's supposed to be one of the better ones, but Mac is like, hey, it's that silly Elgato thing that's not Mac related. And so both of them are pointing the finger at one another without actually coming up with a solution. It's kind of frustrating. But it works most of the time. I just have to be aware when the game audio or other things start to freeze or look funny on the stream. Okay, so I remember that the windmill guy, I need to be able to play the Song of Storms. That's how I wreck his day. Because then it makes the storm, the windmill speed up. But that's it. So I got everything from the graveyard. Got the sun song. So that part's nice. That may be it for this area, because I'm not doing the other part where I go down into the well until we're Adult Link. Alright, let's see what else we got going on. I already got all the cuckoos. I think we're good with this area. Should I go to the ranch? That's going to be my next question. I mean, if I go to the ranch, then I get Epona's song. So it's worth it just for that. I think I always did this, so that's another reason why I'll go ahead and do it. There's the ranch. I have to remember where the entrance is. Can I see that on? Yeah, I think it's just this way. Okay, this isn't too bad. I really want to get some like game night organized on stream so that we get some of our friends from around. Yeah, that's really it. I know I'm still supposed to be planning for a charity stream with our people in Chillable Hours, which is primarily an attorney group right now with Power Up, but I was honestly supposed to follow up with him about that over the weekend and just got too tired. So I definitely still owe conversation there. And that could be a fun event, but outside of that community, if we end up getting enough people outside of our attorney group just here, then, you know, we could also do something like an Among Us night or some other game or activity, depending on what it ends up being. Oh, these. Man, the graphics have changed so much since this game came out. There we got the birds. I guess I will catch this one. I'm not doing super great with that. I keep getting hit. Not sure if it has to be daytime or not, but we'll go ahead and make it daytime. Yeah. That definitely changed stuff. Little Philly. Okay, so now what do I gotta do? Oh, this is one of those times where you just gotta keep talking until you exhaust the dialogue. Okay, we can do this. Here we go. Hold it out. Half the time I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna play the notes as quickly as I can. Other times I like try to match the melody and the feel, all that stuff. But now it likes me too much. It's gonna walk me. Where's it taking it? Oops. It didn't really do anything. Okay. Oh, I definitely want to get the last little... Let's go ahead and get this extra piece of heart. If there's anybody that needs pieces of heart in this game, it's gonna be me. tedious than it needs to be. Oh, I guess I'll do this way. Can I get in between? No, I don't need to climb on top. I'm gonna make this more complicated than it needs to be. That's fine. Stop. There we go. And that's how you know that I did it by myself, if it's overcomplicated. Okay, cool. Alright, so Gerudo Valley is the next, like, primary target. Yeah, none of this stuff really happens while we're kids. We just have to go to the primary, like, plot points, and then I just went the long way. Oops. It's kind of just like, hey, meet the places where things will happen. And then you come back as an adult and do all the puzzles and things. Now we need to head to Gerudo Valley. I don't think we could go up Death Mountain. Yeah, because it ends up being too hot. We've got the shield, but... This is where it just came from. Yeah, we've either got the Water Temple or Gerudo Valley. Oh, okay, so now... No matter what, if I hit A or B, it's still... There we go. Right, we're gonna go back to our daily dose of dodge rolls. That feels faster than just walking. It just feels more active. That's really it. I dodge rolled a lot. I Like this was half the, one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to just go ahead and keep the audio on this. What? There we go. Game says I need a bug in a bottle, so I'll get a bug in a bottle. Okay, and just so that I don't lose that, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that over there. Alright, so I definitely have to find a spot over here. I love this music. Oh, there. Slowly but surely, we're making our way downtown, walking fast. Ooh, homebound. There we go. Oh. Oops. That's not what I'm trying to do. I want to get the buttons. There we go. There we go. Nope, nothing else changed. Okay. I have no idea if got all the stuff the first time. I definitely don't remember seeing this staircase, this ladder here. Oh well, getting pieces of heart. I have to swim. Alright, so we have to go to the lake anyway. What a sad mechanic. You can't just like auto save and spawn them. It's the old times. Definitely want to get out. So I guess I can go back and get an extra one and jump back and do it again, or I can just move forward. I don't know. It's almost end of the stream for now, so let's just get everything set up for the next part. Okay, so we're supposed to hang out with this scarecrow. With the scarecrows. Bonnaroo. Musical genius, Bonnaroo. Alright, so we met our scarecrows. Okay, so apparently I'm supposed to make up a song. Okay, let's try this. Okay, I'm just gonna do up. Up, down, left, right, up, down. That did not sound good. I think it's good enough. I did see the other little spot. Fishing. Catch a fish that's at least 10 pounds, we can get a heart piece that way. Okay. So there's really nothing else I have to do here. I just collect our heart pieces. May as well get the spatula. Alright, so the bugs will go in the spot. We'll check it. Are they suggesting just to go? Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's just going back to all the different areas, getting songs and get heart pieces and spatulas. It's all just running around. Okay. Looking at things through the perspective of this walkthrough has really just changed my perspective of the game. But, man, I definitely remember running around a lot. Without the walkthrough, it was so much worse too, for me. Just because I had no idea where I was going and I always had to look stuff up. Alright, so now I'm just trying to go back over here. This should take us to the forest. I know I'm being chased. That is very stressful. I'm guessing that's the whole point here, is just like go back to Soraya. We can do that. This is very much an 80%, not 100% playthrough. Just a random blue group here. Nice. Oh yeah, it's 100% a vibe. We can talk about it go into a full discourse if we need to, but I could definitely study or do other things to this music. Ah, okay, so I need to try hit it specifically. Oops. Specifically in the middle. Nope, that's not enough. There we go. Ah, that's pretty handy. There we go. It's louder, so this is where we gotta go. Oops. Yeah, I actually gotta do it because I accidentally skipped through it. Okay. Sacred Forest Meadow. Sacred place where few people have ever walked. Oh yeah, just listen to the music, that's all he says. Oh yeah. I definitely don't have that set up yet. It's quiet. Louder. There we go. I'm not able to go down at the moment. That sounds pretty good. I like it with the headset, man. This is so much easier. Nice. Let's see if I can take this out. Only one hit, I gotta remember. Gotta wait for it to hit first. We got this. as perfect as the wolf battle, but we'll take it. Man, I can really hear the echo. I think Sarai is probably one of my favorite characters. Just all green, knows exactly who she is, hangs out in the woods, has like nature spirit kind of stuff going on. Just like, yeah, pretty chill person. All right, before I mess it up. That's not what I hit. I definitely hit the right button. Oh well. Hey, let's fix it. Cool. Now we can make our own vibes. When you want to hear my voice play the song, you can talk with me anytime. Yep, this is where you have to learn the other song to be able to get into that temple. Legend, welcome on in. How have things been post TwitchCon for you? I'm doing all right. I'm still frankly tired, but from different things from TwitchCon. Talked a little bit earlier about like AI and copyright stuff, and then yeah, you did. I mean, honestly, that was the first time I got to talk to them in person as well. So getting to talk to Ryan and Nate, that was the first time I met them. But I knew Taffy and Noah, so oh yeah, let me fix that. I pulled the music up, so let me drop that audio down a little bit more. Okay, there we go. So hopefully that should be much better. Yeah, I liked talking to Ryan and Nate from Pretzel quite a bit. So, I mean, even then, I was still learning stuff from them. They were talking about some of the changes and things that they were expecting. And so I can't get into all of that on stream, but yeah, cool stuff. And it's just really nice to be able to chat with them, especially especially as I'm trying to learn more about music copyright stuff as I go through it. But yeah, it's been a good time. Glad you had a good time with the presentation. What were some of the other things that you liked? I know we talked about being out on the show floor when I bumped into you there, but any other highlights that well, I'm trying to remember what all we did talk about. I don't know. Let me know what some of your favorite things about TwitchCon were. I just got to meet a lot of people that I talked to for a while. Had a blast on the floor. Yeah. I mean, that was pretty much what I was trying to do as well. Just walk around. And then I bumped into like all of the attorneys that I knew or have heard of that I've seen around at various cons, but maybe hadn't run into in person. Like Roger Quiles. Finally got to meet him. And who else? I mean, I knew Noah, John Laster, a bunch of other people. That is such an interesting thing. Very interesting thing to me. Because I definitely don't hold myself out as somebody who's famous. But I don't know, if you call me famous, then aw shucks. They're a bar association for creators. I was on stage, yeah, that's true. I'll definitely strut my stuff here. But no, so like the bar associations that I am aware of, and partially how I met some of the people, there's the Esports Bar Association, and I met a lot of the gaming attorneys there. And so Ryan Fairchild, he's involved in the Esports Bar Association because he works with a lot of players in esports. And then I learned about Bryce Blum with ESG Law and Harris Peskin all through like the Esports Bar Association. There is the Video Game Bar Association, but I'm not currently part of it. Kind of want to get a few more... I'm trying to land a few more big industry clients before I try to like join that group and make it a little bit more worthwhile. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Those are the big groups that come to mind. I mean, there is a Discord for the EBA, the Esports Bar. It's not always the most active. I mean, full-time lawyers, sometimes they'll plan game nights. Sometimes we'll do, like they try to plan events like once a quarter or so. And they have the Esports Bar. It's like a symposium that they end up doing. Yeah, I mean, it is specifically geared towards like gaming, and we're thinking about esports and the connotation that they use. A lot of the people talk about League, they talk about Valorant, CSGO, a lot of FPS games. And that's kind of one way to do it, right? But it's not quite a space that's really... I mean, it's open to anybody. You can talk about any games, but like if I hop in and I'm trash, absolute trash when it comes to FPS games. I'm the guy that everybody in the esports bar would not want to play with. It's really funny. Not like I would try to ruin anybody's game, but just because they've all spent a lot of time. They've got a lot of hours in a lot of those games. I used to play like Call of Duty, and I played Halo, and I played a lot of things, but kind of similar to my channel, I get really fixated on a game, and then I'll pivot. And so the whole shtick about FPS games, or a lot of those, a lot of the esports, is just like you gotta stick to a game and, you know, practice a lot. I mean, it's just kind of like any skill or hobby, right? But yeah, because I don't keep up with it, the closest that I came to anything recently was when my wife and we stuck out, let's see. Pokemon Unite was the Pokemon version of like League-ish. And as a MOBA, it was more accessible because League has too many characters to learn and there's too much meta. And that was one of the reasons why when Pokemon Unite first started, we were very excited about it. And we only, you know, we picked out our Pokemon that we really liked to play as, and it worked. And we were keeping up with the meta because there wasn't that much going on. And yeah, then I don't even remember. There's my wife right now. We've talked about whether we're gonna pick up Unite again, and we just gotta like get back into the weeds of like all the meta and stuff that's changed. It's just one of those things where Rachel, this is Legend-esque. He's a musician and gamer as well, and lawyer, importantly. I met him out at TwitchCon Vegas, but yeah. Is the game dead? I mean, not quite. I realize I'm just running around. I don't know. Now, man, the weirdest guy I met at TwitchCon. Yeah, there are definitely some very interesting people that you can meet out in Vegas. I had a great time meeting you, Legend. No, I definitely wouldn't. If I said weird, I wouldn't mean it in any kind of derogatory way if I were describing you. But, yeah, no, they still have like competitions and stuff going on. Yeah, I mean, Paige, when we were... Everything is very, very different from my sheltered life over here in the suburbs. If I say Richmond suburbs, and that's like even more away from like city life. But yeah, just the people that are out walking around on the street, it's just very different. Different vibes. Not necessarily bad, but yeah, just different. Oh, whoops. I was supposed to go back in and do something else. Wow. I can't imagine what going from Alaska was like. My wife has like a family friend who ended up moving to Alaska, and hearing like secondhand stories about what that's like, very much very different. Fishing and hunting, well, what did you think about the sun and the seasons, so to speak? Because I'm sure that's got a very strong opinion one way or the other. Did you appreciate the daylight, or were you just kind of upset? Yeah. So this was everything that I needed to do to set us up. I mean, I could go around and collect hearts and things, but just not feeling the need to do that. I definitely agree. I like the idea of snow, but once snow sticks around for like especially over a week, and if it like blocks the roads and stuff, I mean here in Virginia we have no infrastructure for like long-term wintry conditions. It was it got bad a couple years ago. Just not equipped for it at all. And then there was that huge I-95 like blizzard, not blizzard, but like 95 from Richmond to DC is already pretty rough. And then when you add the snow and there's already accidents just normally, yeah, that was pretty rough. Man, I forgot about that. There were the people who were like stuck out there for like 13 hours on 95. They couldn't get off the interstate because the traffic was so backed up. And then because of the roads being blocked and icy, nobody could get out there. Yeah, it was just a bad time. Oops. Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing about people here. It doesn't matter if there's like weather, arguably not, you know, the sense goes out the door. Oh, you got a motorcycle too. I imagine that makes things a lot more terrifying with the idea of people not knowing how to drive. Yeah, I mean, yeah, chains on tires. I've seen people talk about it, but yeah, definitely not something that we would need to worry about most of the time in Virginia. I remember there was like a social studies or like a history class in middle school where we learned about people hiking and using those like snowshoes that are like woven and how different people cross the snow. And I just thought that was going to be so common. I was like, oh man, I can't wait until I need snowshoes. And to this day, I don't have any special snowshoes. I don't have the need for it. I totally thought that was going to be something I was going to have to prepare for. But, you know, when you live in the Southeast, nah. If anything, you like put it with your sled and you just leave it in the shed or the garage or, you know, in the closet, wherever you put that kind of stuff, and then you see it maybe once or twice a year. Yeah, those things that I'm talking about are like the tennis racket like things. That's interesting, Legend. Yeah, it's really interesting to meet people IRL for that reason, because you know when you look at them from the screen, you're just kind of like, I don't know. Maybe I get some kind of size relationships, but there are definitely attorneys and other people where you're just like, you look kind of short. And I know one of the creators that I saw there, she was definitely a lot taller than I expected, and I'm gonna save myself. my wife, yeah, my wife is 5'1", and so me being 5'11", I can kind of just like stretch my arm up and rest it on her head, and I joke, we tease each other all the time. But, you know, my wife will ask me to get things without having to use her step stool. And my wife has a lot more endurance and things, so she didn't go to TwitchCon now. I wish. I'm trying to get her to come to more cons and things. She may potentially be able to swing by MagFest. I keep trying to rope her in. But yeah, I haven't been able to, just because she had plans that same weekend. Also, it was like near her birthday, so it was kind of like a birthday plan. It was almost bad on me to go to TwitchCon around her birthday time, but we made amends. It's a trade-off, right? You know, there are some things you gotta be prepared to do. And as long as you have a system and open communication, then like you're good, right? Oops, I need to swap my shields out. Oh yeah. My wife was like, hey, you know, give me a piggyback ride. So I did. And it's just like everybody jokes about with the cute little couple of photos. And then she's like, wait, I want to try it. And my wife is very strong. 100%. I mean, especially with her legs. She did track and cross country, and she's a runner. Like, she ran the half marathon. And so like she's got leg strength, so that's not the issue. But absolutely, if I dangle my feet down, like I can definitely have my feet pretty much touching the ground while I'm like trying to ride on her back doing a piggyback ride. It is so funny, and the first time it happened, we just laughed so hard. Alright, so my general plan is going to be to go in... Oops. Trying to get this area done. Shut myself in. Oh, okay. So I have to lay this on. There we go. It's like, can I remember it? The the walkthrough has like a different button set, so I also have to keep that in mind. There we go. Oh yeah, and I guess one thing that I could say, I just remember this. The Pokemon Unite esport, is at least more alive than Overwatch. Man, I saw where basically all of the teams in Overwatch have pulled out because of the way that the game publishers just kind of said, no, this is how we want to run things. No. Okay. Here we go. Down, right, left. Okay, that's what I gotta do. There we go. Now you know. Paige and I were talking about the vibes here. And see, this guy gets it. My depression is all gone. Yeah, sometimes that's how this music is for me too. Alright, so we gotta get this. I'll just start with Dodongo's Cavern the next time I pick up the game. So I'll probably start out with the just chatting session just like last time, or just like today for the next time. Great, now I can do that part. I might end up calling it a day here because I need to get home. I've got a hearing at 8:30 in the morning and I have to be back here. I've got hearings all day tomorrow. So anyway, shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it's enough that I need to go home so that I can sleep and get prepped for the morning. So yeah, I normally am able to stream for like a couple hours, and so I'll hop in between 6:30 and 7ish Eastern, and from there I hang out until either my wife gets on here and says, hey, need some help, or you should get home, or you know, I just get tired. One of the two things. So anyway, tonight I stay stayed on a little bit later anyway than I normally would, but always appreciate having you guys around. Thank you so much for stopping by, Legend and Paige, and of course my wife. I'll see you in a little bit. But yeah. Oh, and Legend, I also am, there we go. I got a Discord. So this is for the channel that I'm growing now here, but you can also connect with me through Discord there off the stream if you ever got something. I know we sent some DMs through, or whispers I guess, through Twitch, and kind of caught up on TwitchCon, or at TwitchCon, but if you got Discord and want to chat through there, then you know it might be an easier way. So it's there if you want it. You're welcome to join our group. And then yeah, I kind of talked about comic stuff because I did a presentation for the Richmond Indie Comic Expo. Some of the students at our local university near here, but I will probably be looking up some news and headlines this week, and anybody that wants to talk about something, always open to ideas so that I can explore things, but otherwise I'll just see what's going on, see if there are any gaming news updates or updates like the ones we talked about with OpenAI and Meta, and all the different AI lawsuits that are either dismissed or pending, potentially soon to be dismissed. So we'll see about it. But yeah, that's kind of my plan right now. Just open up with legal discussions and then go from there, and then bring it back home to games like what we've been doing with Ocarina of Time. So, all right, like I said, thank you so much, everybody. It's always good to have you here, whether you're in the chat active or if you're lurking. You being here and having an account on Twitch, helping me get viewership and that CCV that I need for affiliate helps me so much. So I appreciate you all, and I will see you all next week.